Obviously we said earlier that you can't go anywhere without seeing the Black Lives Matter posts and everything. And recently it's kind of died down on like Twitter and Instagram and things like that. So do you think that this was mainly just a trending for that moment, or do you think this is a new beginning for Black Americans after everything that has happened?
I definitely think that it will probably die down, just because it's just the way a lot of things go, especially keeping trends just aren't as strong to keep 1 or 2, 3, like 2 or 3 weeks down the road. I do think that Black people can turn this into a revolutionary moment. Like, I do think that this was very eye opening to our entire community and to a lot of people that, we're not just going to sit by and let this happen. And there has to be some type of change. But honest to God, like 3 guns down the road, there's going to be another shooting, right? And it's going to be like, what do we do then? At that point, like, do we go back to the protest? Do we go back to the demands? How long can we protest until something is done? And if voting isn't working, if going out and protesting isn't working, then what is going to be the next step? Because it has to first of all start with laws, with our criminal justice system, and it's like, how do we implement that change? And you have to infiltrate. Honestly, like, the way you change it is infiltrating it and changing it from the top down. And at that point, it's going to be like, well, the next shooting is coming up, and we know it's going to happen sooner or later. So what are we going to do then? What are we going to protest about then? Like, who do we contact? Who do we how many petitions do we sign? Who do we need to have town halls with that is going to actually implement change? Because honestly, God, these politicians have done nothing. They've done nothing but sit there and patronize half of the Black community, and they just sit there and they're like, "Oh yeah, we hear you, we're with you, we stand with you," and then do nothing for the
They'll
next.
sweep it.
Yeah, all they care about is your vote and the money and getting reelected. And once people realize that government is utterly useless and has done nothing to protect our people and protect its own people, like, its only purpose is to protect life, liberty, and property, and somehow it still fails to do that. Somehow it has failed this time and time again, and somehow we still believe that these Democratic or Republican, whatever party, we somehow believe that they're going to change our society, and that's just not the way it goes. Like, it has to start with us, and we have to figure out what it is that's going to change, because obviously politicians aren't working. Obviously,
Mhm.
us voting for them isn't working because we're still getting killed out in the streets. Obviously, like, it's just going to be a different type of interpersonal societal change, more so than and law changing, I guess.
There has to be something, or at least just like there has to be something more than just going to the polls, voting for certain people who say they will make the change. There has to, like Kinsey said earlier, there has to be a law. There has to be a certain amount of laws that are just that make like cops, officers, law enforcement, that make them so afraid of it makes them so afraid of the consequences if they do this, or if it makes them so afraid of doing something that they won't do it. Because obviously they had a choice when they wanted to do these things. He sat there for 8 minutes and 46 seconds kneeling on George Floyd's neck. He could have made the choice to get up at any time. George Floyd was already on the ground. He could have made the choice to get up. He could have made the choice not to do anything. The other officer still could have made the choice to push him out the way and pull George up. But they didn't make that. But if they don't make that conscious choice, then there needs to be something that scares them so much that they don't want to do it. And it's just there needs to be a consequence that needs to happen. And it's just, we can't, and like I said, even though it is trending, we cannot let it, even though it's not trending anymore or it's not like in the sphere, we cannot just let it die down because I mean, like Alex said, the same thing will just die, it'll happen again. And once it happens, then we'll do the same thing, and it'll just be the same cycle over and over and over again. And no change will come about. It'll be the same process, and we can protest and we can do this, but it'll be the same thing unless we have something that just changes right now.